Hello and welcome to another Talking To episode. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by
Aiden.
And today we're going to talk about today we're going to be ranking our top 10 episodes from season 2 of the 2012 show. So before we actually get into this, what do you think about this season, overall?
To be honest, this season overall for the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series was a bit different compared to what we saw in last season of the Turtles. Compared to this season, I'd say it's a big improvement. We got to see a lot more, and we got to learn a lot more about the characters themselves, and we got to see some new characters as well, some returns. But no, I think there was a lot more going on with this season compared to season 1.
You have to say that this season was definitely a big improvement compared to the last season. The quality, the story, characters, just everything felt like a big step up, and it was just such a big improvement, which I really did enjoy. And yeah, I really did enjoy it, and I feel like some of these episodes really go to show how good this show can really be when it wants to try. So so let's start with the top 10 one. So what's your pick for number 10?
To be honest, this was really difficult because there were so many good ones, and I wanted to try and narrow it down as best I can. So for my number 10 is Good, the Bad, and the Casey Jones.
Ooh, what's the reason why?
The reason why it's my top 10, I was going to put this down as in my number 5 or 4, but something else has replaced that. It's only because I really like Casey Jones. Casey Jones was a great character, and of course we got to see Casey Jones grow and develop as a character, but sadly it didn't make it any higher because there were some other bits that I wanted to put forward instead. But no, Casey Jones is such a great character, and I thought, you know what, he deserves to be on my top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I do like this episode, and it is a little bit high on my list, so I'll talk about it then. When I was choosing my top 10 one, I remember going when we were actually talking about the episodes. I remember being like, "Oh yeah, this bit was so great. I really like this episode because this and this and this." And then last night when I was going through them, I was like, "Oh, that episode was shit. That episode was shit." God, yeah, I guess that one would do. So for my number 10 spot, it was the invasion of the Squirrenoids. It was a fun, decent episode with Turtles referencing aliens, and just a fun horror type episode. And did you forget about that one?
No, I'm not going to say that I forgot about it. It's just I didn't have enough room on my list.
In other words, Jess, you forgot about it.
I didn't forget about it, I just didn't have enough room on my list, okay?
Yeah, sure. Okay, either way, yeah, I mean, I found this episode just be a really fun, enjoyable one, just for doing what it wants to do, and does it in a really fun, creative way, while also referencing a decent movie, which I've yet to see. Okay, so what's your number 9 spot?
Oh, my number 9, another really, close one as well. I didn't know where to put it, but I wanted to put it in because it was something different, and I enjoyed it because I understood it, because I liked the approach that they took. And of course, at number 9, it's Mazes and Mutants, episode 15. And the only reason why I put it in here is because of the LARP and the roleplay and the Dungeons and Dragons. I love Dungeons and Dragons, and I like playing it, I like exploring it, and it's just a really cool theme, and it was something different to the usual norm of the Turtles. Even though it was a bit out of place with the story, I just liked how they used it to introduce this new idea and this new genre into the Turtles. So that's why it's at my number 9.
I've known you all my life, and I've never known you to actually play Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, it's only been a recent thing. I've been getting into a lot of tabletop games and all that, and of course Dungeons and Dragons is one of them. And of course I'm a Warhammer guy as well, so I do enjoy the tabletop games, and of course Dungeons and Dragons was one of them.
Oh, okay. So I think I need to play that sometime soon. But I mean, I think for me, I didn't put this episode 12 on the list. I feel like The main reason for it is because something which I did say extensively while reviewing it was that because it came after the episode Wormquake and how it just dropped the storyline of the mutant, or like demonstration for mutant, I feel like that's the reason why I dislike this episode. But for all the reasons which you said about like the LARPing, just having fun, I cannot say any other reason why. But that's just like a really great like thing to put in Turtles, and it works so well. And it shouldn't, but it does because it's Turtles. But I feel like just because like those reasons, I'm like, I wish I could put it higher. But yeah. For my number 9 spot, I had neutralized. Now I thought. Let me guess. This was another episode which you forgot.
No. It's a bit higher on my list.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah. No. Continue on. I want to hear your side.
Yeah, I mean, I really did enjoy this episode for the action, seeing Slash again, neutralize again. This episode was just so much fun, and I can't really say too many negatives about it, but I feel like the biggest negative about it is just how poorly they treated Casey and how they handled the relationship between Raph and Casey. And I feel like had they gone in like a different direction, just like showing the relationship between like Raph's relationship with Casey and Slash relationship with Neutralizer, I think that could be a much more interesting one instead of just basically ruining Casey's character just to make it seem like, you know, they have like such a great relationship. But I feel like other than that, this episode is just a really fun one, just really great action, great characters, and yeah, I just love it for that. Okay, so what's your number 8 spot?
My number 8 spot is Neutralized, episode 17.
Okay. What's the reason why?
The reason why I wanted it was very close, and it was very, very close. The only reason why I put it in here was because the Slash and Neutralizer team up, like the duo of the two, like they were so cool together. I really liked how they like mixed and understood one another from like, oh, we've been mutated by the Krang, let's take revenge, and they teamed up. And of course, their fighting and action scenes within that episode really interested me, so I had to put it on the list. And of course, like I said, it was very difficult on where to put it on my list. And of course, I have many others, sadly, that have taken the position for a much higher position. But I think it's supposed to be here on the list for number 8. So yeah. How about yourself? What about you?
So for my number 8 spot is of Rats and Men, and it's just Rat King. I think that's the main reason why, and need I say anything else, the final fight scene between Splinter and the Rat King is just amazing. Ice Cream Kitty's debuts in this one. There's just so many great things about this one. I'm starting to question why I didn't put this one higher. But yeah, this one's just an amazing episode, and just Rat King in general, how he does things, top notch. Ice Cream Kitty is just another beauty that we did not deserve, but we got, and thank God for that. It's just a really fun, incredible episode, and one which I wish they had like built up a little bit more to with Rat King's return. But other than that, I feel like this is a really great episode, and I definitely should have put this one high up on my list.
Yeah, you regret it now, don't you?
Well, yeah, but like at least it's still on the list. This is far. We should put it higher.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as long as it's on the list, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So what's for your number 7 spot?
My number 7 spot. This was a really, this was a weird one, and I'm not too sure how you're going to react to it, but my one for number 7 was the Krang Conspiracy episode 9, and the only reason why I put it on here was we were introduced to the reporter, and hinting towards the Manhattan Project. That's my reason why. Like, the reporter was such a cool, mysterious character that really spoke to me, and I was like really intrigued by him because he was so mysterious. He was like researching, he was trying to understand what was going on in New York City, and I think he was the only civilian that I actually liked, like, because he understood what was going on around him. Like, he wasn't just mindlessly going about the streets thinking, oh, that's normal, that cat's just been mutated into an ice cream kitty, or that squirrel has been mutated, or that pizza or whatnot. He understood what was going on, and that's why I like him for it, because he wasn't just a mindless zombie walking around the streets of New York thinking everything was fine, to the fact that it wasn't fine. So he took the initiative to find out what was going on, so he could be better prepared. So that's why I like this episode for my number 7.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that episode, and I feel like it also comes down to the fact that they didn't really do too much with the Krang this season, and I feel like that's my biggest problem with this one, is that I do like this episode, and I enjoy what we did with the Krang, with setting up the stuff with the invasion, the Wormquake stuff. I thought that's really great, but when you look at the stuff in the invasion episode, with the stuff with the Krang infiltrating people, I feel like here would have been like a really great episode to really set things up for like those kind of things. And I feel like that's like biggest problem with this one. Also, April Derp, did you forget about that?
The April what, sorry?
April Derp.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was something.
Don't change your list now.
I'm not changing the list. I'm just like I knew we were going to talk about April Derp. It's just April Derp was just a really weird and mashed together character. It was like kind of creepy in some parts. Like it was super weird, like how they molded her together from flesh and bone. It just didn't sit well with me. That's why I tried to leave it out, because it was like, ugh, it was just so weird. Like you just see the eyes, the mouth. It was just really creepy. And it was like very like daunting to talk about. It's like, where do you even start with April Derp?
Yeah, well, for my next one, I feel like you're going to disagree with this, and you probably have this episode higher, is the Wormquake episodes. And I really do enjoy these ones. They are able to spread, able to do a lot more within this, this story, because it's spread over 2 episodes, and able to introduce Tyleclaw. He's just one of the best characters ever. Episode 1, I feel like, is definitely hindered by the fact that they have to just speed through everything, and just, there's some stuff is just done by stupid decisions, and it's just like, why is, and a lot of annoying parts there, but I feel like when you get into like the second episode, where you get to see Casey gets eaten by the worm, everyone fighting Tyleclaw, Shredder versus Splinter, there's a lot of really great and enjoyable stuff in these 2 episodes that I feel like had they maybe expanded upon a bit more, I feel like it could have been like really great. But I feel like what we did get in these episodes was just like really fun to watch, really great action and story and stuff like that, and even continue on with the like Karai stuff further out along, which was really great. And yeah, but I don't know, this episode, I enjoyed them enough to put them high up on the list, but at the same time, there's something about it just feels like they're just okay episodes, but I do enjoy them quite a lot. So yeah. Okay, so what's for your number 6 spot?
Ooh, right. The number 6 spot, I really wish I put this higher, but it's Rats and Men, episode 12, and so with Rat King and Ice Cream Kitty.
Okay. What's the reason why?
The reason why was because I think you've already spoken about this before, but one is the Rat King, the return of the Rat King, and his powers, and his, like, ominous return. Like, somehow it spoke to me, and I absolutely loved it. Like, how it was executed, and how it was done. It was just really, really cool. And of course, what can I say? It's the Rat King. He's like the powerful character in the Turtle universe at the moment, and I just love that. And also, the other thing that you've already said as well is the creation of Ice Cream Kitty. Like, Ice Cream Kitty was there, and he was just being Ice Cream Kitty, and he's just a really cool character that is just, although we didn't deserve him, but we got him, and I'm so glad that we did, because he's just such a cool little background character that everybody just loves and enjoys.
Yeah. Well, for my number 6 spot, it was Mutation Situation. I just feel like this was just a really great episode, just to like get people back into the show again, like especially for going like into season 2. Like, I would say like it's one of these kind of like, I wouldn't say it's like a perfect episode for what we did in the actual episode, but I'll say that like with what we did, it was almost perfect in a way. That like it was like I'd say like if you was watching it straight after season 1, it would be like a great episode just to like lead people straight into what was going for like that season, or and if people like doing like what we were doing, well, I had a little break. It was like a really great way to like lead people back into it, and then setting things up for the season with all the mutations, mutant everywhere, butt cannons, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kirby O'Neill get mutated. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening in this episode, and I feel like this one is just a really great one, just for getting people set up for what's to come in this season. Just a lot of great things. I think the only like disappointing thing about this episode is how they execute some of the ideas afterwards with the whole mission hunt. Like, that went nowhere, and is really disappointing because they made it out to be like such a big thing, and then they hardly did anything with it. So it's just an annoying situation where like where it set so many great things, and half of it was just wasted potential. Even like Kirby, like that's such a great, interesting thing, but he like it's so annoying just because after this it was only in one episode, and that's when he got demutated. Like, that's annoying. April getting mad at turtles, and that was only seen for like I want to say about an episode and 5 minutes. So like there's a lot of like annoying bits which do set up, but at least they set it up, and I think that's like the most frustrating bit about it.
Definitely.
Okay, so what's your number 5 spot?
My number 5 is a bit of a weird one, but I just loved how they developed the backstory for this particular thing. And for my number 5 was Legend of the, I'm going to butcher this like I normally do, the Karuto Kabuto, episode 20.
Okay, so reason why?
The reason why is because we got to learn because I got to learn about Master Shredder's helmet, the iconic piece that makes Master Shredder who he is and how he's so well renowned. And I was so interested in the backstory and how his helmet came to be, and how it was developed from this warlord, this tyrant, and he took his trophies and melted them together to create this really awesome, terrifying figurehead of Master Shredder. And I just absolutely loved how they developed the backstory, including as well with the Russian dealer, and the introduction to the oh gosh, what's his name? Oh, come on. The yes, that's the one. I couldn't pronounce it properly. But no, I just thought the introduction of those two characters was also pretty interesting, because we got to see outside of New York and to develop some new storylines and some new interesting story points and talking points to go off of. Like, we got to see the Russian dealer, the guy's suit. Like, at first I thought it was a Krang suit, but it's like human tech, and I thought that was just super cool, seeing that different side of things with this series.
Yeah, I have to say that with this episode, I really enjoy how they really developed Shredder as a character. And I wouldn't say Shredder as a character, but like his helmet and lore and history behind that, because we don't really get too much lore and history within the show. And normally with Turtles, just comes and goes only for the story and stuff like that. And with Shredder, he's never really been like a developed character to this extent where he has like the helmet. And I feel like that's just such a really interesting idea for Shredder, which was just such an amazing thing to do. Anton Deck was a really nice addition. Yeah, I don't know why I put this episode. I don't know why I did put this one on my list, but there's a lot of stuff which I did really enjoy. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think there's something about it just like he's not that good for me, but like, I really enjoyed the episode. Well, for me, for my number 5 spot is The Good, the Bad, and Casey Jones. Now, I don't like this Casey Jones as much as 2003. I feel like there's quite a few like reasons for it. One is that he's younger and can't do as much as what 2003 Casey can do. 2, he's just not as good, and 3, he's annoying and stuff like that. But I feel like with this episode, it was a really great introduction to him and just seeing how he interacts with Raph, and I thought that's a really great thing. And the fight scenes were really great, seeing Raph versus Casey, the fight scenes with the Foot, all really great and amazing. The one thing which really brings this episode down for me is just they retread the anger problem stuff again, and it's just it's just so annoying because, I mean, I understand why they're doing it because, and I do think it's really great they are retreading it because it is a bit more realistic that way because I know some people don't really learn lessons straight away and they have to go through it over and over again, which, you know, that's understandable and somewhat realistic. But I feel like because after that, because episode 7 was another episode dealing with fresh anger, then going straight into this one, it was really annoying. And the way that they handled it with how they did it, where it's just like Raph got angry because he don't want to lose to Leo, but he gets really angry because it's an episode focused on him. It's just so annoying that they do it in this kind of way where it just ruins the character. But other than that, it was a really great episode. So yeah,
Decent.
So what's your number 4 spot?
My number 4 spot is Into Dimension X, episode 24.
Okay, what's the reason why?
The reason why is because we got to see Dimension X for what it is for the very first time from the Turtles' perspective. I know that we've explored Dimension X briefly in season 2 when they go into this giant chamber full of these portals, but I didn't connect to it as much. But with this one, I understood it a lot more. Like, we went into Dimension X, we went into the layer of the Krang itself, and I really did like how they managed to create this different world within the Turtle universe. I also did enjoy the return of Leatherhead. After so many episodes of not seeing Leatherhead, it was just a nice little thing to see him return, and so that's why I gotta say for Dimension X as my Dimension X is for my episode top 4.
Yeah,
Gosh.
I really enjoyed this one as well because of how much they showed of Dimension X, and I found it to be like such a fun and creative new idea and place stuff like that, which was really great and amazing to actually finally see. But I feel like my biggest problem with this one is that it wasn't really that exciting. I mean, when there was like going on about Dimension X and stuff like that, and building up in a way, I was really expecting it to be like such a big magical place, but instead it's just like a few islands with a few different creatures, and I think that's the little bit disappointing part there because they could have done anything and they did that. I mean, Leatherhead was nice and setting things up for the invasion, which also do think that's also another problem with this one, is that they set the invasion up in this episode and then immediately in the next episode they're like, oh no, the invasion's come in. So, but for my number 4 spot, it is Slash and Destroy. Oh god. Ooh. Did you put that on your list?
Sadly, I did not.
What?
That is... I can't believe that is such a terrible thing.
Oh, that's criminal.
I know, it's just terrible. I'm a terrible person, I can't believe it.
Okay, well, moving on. So yeah, with Slash and Destroy, yeah, where do we even begin? The brutalness of the attacks with Slash were just perfect. How Slash was being voiced, again on a whole nother level with how he's being played. I think the only thing which I really gotta say is just the fight scenes were just on a whole nother level, which were just perfect. What do you think about the episode? Because this might be the only time to talk about it.
I know it's terrible, but I thought that was really good, and I can't believe I didn't put it on my list. That is my bad on my part. But no, I really did enjoy Slash and Destroy, the introduction of Slash and his fighting techniques, his brutality as well. Like, he could have wiped out the entire Turtles if he really wanted to. If he wasn't holding back, and if he didn't have any like emotional connections to Raphael, I think he would have just wiped them all out.
Yeah, it's just like so crazy to think like how. Like, it's just crazy to think like what he did, and if only he went a bit further. Yeah, wow. Okay, so top 3 now. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. And I've got to think I know what your top 3 are, but I'm not too sure what order they're gonna be in. So what's your number 3 spot?
My number 3, is The Wrath of Tiger Claw, episode 19.
Oh my god, yeah, okay, so yeah, we have the same number 3. What's your reason why?
Just how Tiger Claw, he wants vengeance. He's absolutely ready to destroy. And of course, how he was portrayed in this episode was just incredible. Like, I really did enjoy his fighting moves, his rage, his anger, his determination. It's just what makes Tiger Claw, Tiger Claw. And I just loved how it just showed. Like, his character really did show his determination, his skills, his absolute brutality in his fighting techniques against the turtles was just superb in my opinion. So that's why he's down on my top 3.
Yeah, I have to say that Tiger Claw as a character is just one of the best things to come out of the 2012 show, and it's just amazing. And I feel like the end fight scene is one of the best fight scenes they've ever created in like Turtles Forever. One of the best fight scenes ever. I could watch that one all day. It's just so brutal, so amazing, near perfect. And also, like, combine that with like what they was doing with Karai, and with all the emotional stuff they did there, it just adds up to be just a really great and amazing episode. Just a lot of shock value, a lot of amazing action, stuff like that, and just keep guessing just keeps guessing like what's gonna happen next. Like, very brutal attacks with Turtles themselves, and also with Casey and Tiger Claw. Another great and amazing fight scene. I feel like this episode is just like, I feel like the next 3 these top 3 episodes are on like a whole nother level, and I feel like this is just a really great example of just like how good a show could be if they were to go in a certain direction. And yeah, near perfect episode. So what's your number 2 spot?
My number 2 spot is Vengeance is Mine.
Yep, no, mine too.
Episode 22. Yes.
Okay.
The only reason why I put it down as my number 2, it was very close to being my number 1, but the only reason why I put it as number 2 is because I have another thing that is rivaled Vengeance is Mine. The reason why I did Vengeance is Mine for my number 2, for my top 10, was learning about the story of Master Splinter and the Shredder again. Really, really good, and how Shredder took Karai as his own, and just how he just really did abuse her, like tormented her as much, and also the just draw-dropping ending at the end of Vengeance is Mine, where Karai is dropped into the vat of mutagen. And I just couldn't say anything else, to be honest. Like, when Karai went into the vat of mutagen, everyone was in shock. And even I was in shock. And of course, she came out as this weird snake. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. This actually happened. And that shock factor was there. And of course, it just shows how brutal Master Shredder was. Master Shredder is brutal. Even to his own people, how brutal he can be. And I just absolutely loved it, and it just was a really great episode to like really entice the audience. Like, if the audience wasn't enticed then, they are now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, this episode, the reason why it's so high up, and it's definitely like one of the best episodes they've ever created for Turtles, is just, one, the action, that's on a whole nother level, and 2, the emotional side. I feel like for the majority of this episode, it's really great and amazing what they do, and continue on the Karai story. Everyone loves that bit, and you can talk about it, like good stuff. But when you get to that end bit where they're mutating Karai, stuff like that, I feel like that's on a whole other level which you just can't even put into words, or just what they did, and it just goes to show just how great the show could be. And all the emotional sides with Shredder doing it, and showing how ruthless he is, doing it to his own daughter, just Karai mutating, everything about it was just perfect, and I love it so much. And I mean, for me, there's never been an episode which I could put on my top, or like, it's never been like an episode which I could say is like number 1 spot, but it's always been like such a great episode that I feel like, I would say that it is better than my number 1 spot, but it feels weird to put it as number 1 spot. But this episode just overall is just such an amazing one, and I just really hope they do a lot more stories like this going forward in the future for Turtles, whether that be in the comics, TV shows, or movies. This is definitely the direction which they need to take it in, because it has everything which people want and more. So, yeah, what's your number one spot?
Well, my number one, I think you already know what my number one's going to be. My number one is the Krang invasion.
Yep, mine too.
Yep, episode 25 to 26.
Oh, great. What's your reason why?
My reason why is because it was just action-packed throughout. Like, we were at the edge of our seats, didn't know what was going to happen, and just the amount of crazy things that have happened in that episode was just unreal. For one, the action was on par. Like, every single second was just full of action, and you did not let up, you did not get a break with it, which is just cool. The weirdest thing was Velma being a Krang spy after all this time, and just being Velma, and how she just turned into this weird animatronic head as it exploded, and Krang using the body of Velma. It was just so weird and creepy. I loved it for some reason. It was just so cool how they did that. And the massive bomb they just dropped on us, like a shocker right there. And also, the other thing was with the end battle with Krang Prime and the Turtle Jaeger, with the introduction of the Global Defense Force, which is really interesting, and I really do like those characters, but I don't know enough about them, so I'm hoping in Season 3 we'll get to learn a lot more about them. But going back to the Turtle Jaeger, I really did enjoy how they used it to take down Krang Prime with all their weapons, and it just really reminded me of something from Pacific Rim for some reason, with all the robots, the Jaegers, and vice versa. But no, I thought it was a really cool, action-packed finale, and compared to Season 1's finale, which we didn't get to see a great load of, but now in the Krang invasion, we got to see a lot more happening. We got to see everything happen. And before I lead on, I just got to say one more bit. The end bit where the Turtles finally leave New York City, and they have to leave Master Splinter behind after he was defeated by Shredder. That was just like a proper shocker. Like, there were so many shockers in. Gotta give a guy a break, you know?
Yeah. Oh god, where do I even begin with this episode? I feel like the way that I took things from like last season, where like it was a big invasion, pretty big things happening, great. But then going from like that, from like last season's invasion to this, I feel like was just perfect. With how they set things up and just went straight into the action and just went straight all in with it and just put the stakes on a whole nother level, which was just so amazing with all the big threats, Krang invasion, stuff like that. And I didn't really enjoy the ending too much as like you did, but I feel like with all the other little moments in this episode, with like Leonardo versus the Foot Clan, Splinter versus Shredder, Leonardo getting thrown through the windows, there's just so many great enjoyable scenes throughout this like 2-part, and I just like how the stakes game everything keeps getting worse for them and worse, and it just keeps building onto it, and it just keeps getting better and better with all the little stakes. And yeah, I feel like I don't know, because I feel like I'm just probably gonna repeat all the stuff which you said. It's just such a great one, which they just kept building the stakes up, and I just love it so much for that. And I only wish for like after this they was somehow able to improve the show and how to keep making the show get better and better, and so it's all like dwindling in the quality. But this was such a great like ending to the season, setting things up for a really interesting way to do the Northampton story arc, which was I said it before and I say it again, it's better than the 2003 show of how they handled it over a few episodes, and love it so much. But Yeah, wow. I mean, I must admit, I'm quite surprised with like lists. They are somewhat similar, but also at the same time a little bit different in quite a few, quite a few different ways. I was quite surprised by that.
Like, it was interesting to know your top 10 as well, because it's interesting to know how we are different and comparing from our different perspectives of different episodes. But no, I thought it was really interesting figuring out your ones.
Yeah, I mean, I think like because, I mean, I do think it's interesting just because with you, like, this is your first time watching it, and I find it interesting for like quite a lot of your ones to like episode of introducing characters, returning characters, or something to do with like moving like plot forward. I think like majority of mine was just like moving the plot forward or doing something along those lines, which I think's like pretty interesting. And yeah, and then also like top 3 episodes. I feel like that's that's interesting as well. That we got same top 3, which I think that really goes to show how good those episodes are.
Definitely.
But yeah, is there anything else you want to say about the season, or are you sort of done with this one?
Be honest, I think I've said that all that I needed to say, and if otherwise, I'm just going to go round and round in circles. I'm going to repeat the same stuff that I've already said, and I don't think we want to be here the whole night. So I'm all sorted for this season.
So, if you do want to get onto the podcast, you can leave a comment on YouTube, Reddit, Anchor, through text message or voice message. But, yeah, I've been your host, Teddy.
And I've been Hayden.
And we'll see you soon. Goodbye, yo. Bye.
Bye.